Welcome back to another episode of A Guide to Poor Parenting, a podcast where me, Jason,
and me, Jennifer,
have a few drinks
and talk shit about our kids.
And please follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Guide to Poor Parenting. Miss Jennifer, what are we drinking today?
We are drinking peach bellini from Trader Joe's.
Hell yeah.
And then me and you have a little bit of vodka in ours,
right.
Because got to make it a little stronger.
Hell yeah. We were walking around Trader Joe's probably about a month ago, and I was like, I know our guest likes peach bellinis, so we saw it and like, let me go ahead and grab it, and then we saw the strawberry one. We're like, we're gonna have way too much alcohol. Although I was at Costco today and I saw the advent calendar for wine, and I was like, we could drink it for the podcast, but either way. So we have some guests today. Yay! Who do we have?
I don't know.
She's like, I don't know these people.
These are I know them, but not know them, if that makes sense.
These are some new friends of me and Zane's,
yeah.
And you've met them a few times,
yeah.
From volunteering. So we have Jessica and Kim. Hi, ladies.
Hey.
Hello. Zane and I met y'all first at Shenanigans because y'all own the local improv comedy theater. Is that what it is?
Close enough.
What do you call it?
Shenanigans Comedy Theater. We do all sorts of comedy.
Oh, yeah.
Because we have improv, stand-up, sketch, stuff we make up, all sorts.
And it's Shenanigans.
We can't cuss, right?
Yeah, you can cuss.
Okay.
We don't care.
That's fucking awesome.
We're not monetized. Don't worry about it. It's shenanigans.yapsity.com. Is that what it is?
No.
No?
HuntsvilleLaughs.com.
HuntsvilleLaughs.com. Okay, so go check it out. They're a great organization. I started with taking improv classes. When was that? Was it a year?
About a year ago.
Yeah, it was a year ago. About this time, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I took the intro classes, and then I took the advanced classes, and Zane signed up after that.
Oh, I didn't know Peach too.
He did. And I started volunteering because like all your staff, you don't have staff besides you two, so the owners. Besides the owners, but y'all, all the concession stuff and like box office stuff is volunteers. I signed up to volunteer, and I think that's when I met Jessica because I signed up for. Y'all have a show y'all do every month. What is it called again?
Turnip and Joletta's Family Game Night. That's
right. And what is this? Tell us of the show.
So basically, we have alter egos. I'm Turnip, and
I'm
Kimberly.
Joletta.
Yeah, it's Joletta. And we play bingo and other made-up active kids, family. We have everybody there from 3-year-olds. Just a good
wholesome
innocent,
time.
wholesome
Good
time.
wholesome time.
It's great.
What the theater? This is the second theater that y'all have done, right? Y'all moved it from Priceville?
Somerville.
Yeah, and we kind of moved it in that we reused a lot of the old stuff, but we reinvented because the other one was not a nonprofit, whereas this one is a 501 nonprofit.
We functioned as a nonprofit.
Yeah, we didn't make any profit.
Well, we've always kind of been community, and so we brought that fee with us of when we put the diversity.
So what did y'all do like when it was in Somerville? You said
yes.
How was that theater different from this one?
Well, so the entire thing came about because we lived in Austin before we moved back here. I grew up here and had family here, and my parents were getting older. They had these new grandkids that we one another. And so we came back here in 2012 and lived here for a couple of years. And but when we were in Austin, I got inspired because there was a place there called Alamo Draft House, the original.
I remember.
They've spread all over the place now. But what they did at one point is they set up an inflatable movie on the shores of Lake Austin. They put buoys out and cordoned off a portion of the lake, and they sold tickets per raft or inner tube or whatever for people to bob around in the water while watching.
Oh, that's fun.
And it sold out like $20-$30 ticket, I don't remember. And I was like, wow, people really liked it. and it's because I couldn't imagine how scary that would be to be floating in the water while you're watching Jaws.
Right.
So that's touching your toes. And
I think they did have somebody like in a scuba suit messing with people.
Oh.
And so I was like, man, that'd be cool if there was a theater that had a similar concept. And so that's what the actual original idea was. Is we built this space out so that it had like a 3-foot each all the way around the exterior of the theater and behind the stage. And then we had doorways that were just covered by curtains, 2 on each side wall in the back and 2 at the front. And what we did is we would play horror movies, and then we would go around, sneak around, mess with people while the movie was showing, and we
fun.
created special effects and things like that.
Oh, that's
Draw
cool.
things
Yeah.
from the ceiling, throw things that will spray people with water,
Oh,
like
yeah.
blood gushing and that kind of stuff.
Fun.
Yeah.
Beat on
And
the walls.
I even got punched in the face once. It was
Oh,
a
Oh
good
my
time.
God.
Well, that would be me.
Yeah.
I don't scare well. I'm a fighter.
And it was a grown ass man.
Oh.
Oh, good Lord.
But luckily I had on a hard plastic mask, so I was fine.
That's good.
But anyway, so that's was the original idea, but clearly we couldn't sustain a business on just that alone. So what we started doing is just creating things for the community that would bring people in, raise awareness, blah, blah, blah. So there we mostly did just like second run movies because we were able to get like a KT license,
Right.
umbrella license. And then we also started playing bingo there. But we'd have bingo night. I mean, they would sell out standing in the lobby.
Wow.
And out the door, down the gravel parking lot, and you'd be like, what is
Wow.
happening?
And that space, Shenanigans currently seats 113, the actual bolted
Theater,
down theater
yeah.
seats. We had 140 there, and then we also had tables at the front, tables in the lobby.
Wow.
Yeah, so we probably had somewhere around people every time.
It was a lot of fun. We got to know a lot of it that way. Really positive.
Sounds like a.
It was a lot of work.
Everything's a lot of work.
Yeah, I was about to say, even Shenanigans seems like the few times I volunteer a month, I'm just like, it's a lot of work. I
Yeah.
don't know how y'all do it.
Yeah, I was about to say, now imagine that twice a week, every week. Oftentimes 3 times a week.
Yeah.
Plus, you
Yeah.
have children, and you're both.
Yes.
Yep.
Thank y'all again for coming to this podcast.
How did you wrangle like 2 hours out of your day today?
Well, and whenever he said that this morning about, weather being yucky, and I'm like, I'm fine with rescheduling, but I can't promise you when we'll
Yeah.
be free again.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
I know your time is precious, so thank you again for
No
doing
problem.
this. So what made y'all move out to Huntsville?
Well, we were tired of being in the closet a little bit. We weren't necessarily in the closet, but
You couldn't talk about it.
well, we could not reach. We could not reach the audience. We let people, and that's hard.
Right.
So that was
Also-
one reason.
Sorry. Also, at that time, I had started doing stand up, and we produced a couple of shows there, and they went over okay. And I started trying to produce stand up shows at Phil, and there were no spaces to do that without taking a huge financial. The spaces that were available out of any regular person's budget to be
Right.
able to do that. And so between kind of wanting to spread our wings a little more from Somerville, as well as seeing space that allowed opportunity performers and crew, that was born.
And we knew we wanted to take
Yeah, absolutely. We wanted to do that in Somerville after we kind of got into it and realized, but then we discovered it's not impossible, but it's almost impossible to
To change like that?
to go from a for-profit to
Would you have to
Transition
basically
to a
shut down the company and then restart it as a nonprofit?
yeah.
That's what we're doing.
And the
First start was
nonprofit, the nonprofit was the process to be a nonprofit is very.
Oh, is it? Not bad.
You would think that
It's
would be
pretty
easier
intense.
because it's not for.
Well, they're
Other way.
so
Well,
specific about your document, how many.
How you structure your
Yeah.
board, how many board meets,
Your
it's very
bylaws.
regulated because if you think about it, that's how people oftentimes get around tax.
I got you. I didn't
stuff.
think about
Yeah.
So
they
there's
have
like
to-
I've heard of a story of like a billionaire. He started a nonprofit museum, and it was just a building he built on his property to house a collection of art, and he could write it all off by donating to nonprofit. So where's y'all's gallery of priceless art?
yeah.
Well,
Oh,
I got
I
some
wish.
stuff stuck in the refrigerator.
Yeah. She
about
teaches
it.
paint classes.
So speaking of full-time jobs, because like Shenanigans isn't already an incredibly busy job, but y'all are both teachers, right?
We are.
Kim, you're in
yeah.
English? Okay.
9th grade pre-AP English and also AC.
And Jessica, you were y'all both met in Austin.
Yeah. I was in Austin. She was in Wichita Falls, 6 hours away. When we met on the computer.
Oh wow.
We met online. We're all being online with school.
Yeah.
Maybe something that we don't even.
Yeah, it was a lesbian website called Tango Wire.
I think I don't know. When were you in Austin teaching?
I was in Austin from about 2095.
Okay. When did you start teaching? Just in general. So I graduated high school in 6.
I was about to say that. I was.
Well, I was just gonna
You sound like
Ages.
this one over here going.
I was trying so hard not
and
to say
how old
anything.
were you whenever I was in 3rd grade?
well, we were in Austin at the same time. Was all I was saying. We
Gotcha.
were all like, I was at Texas State. That's what y'all were.
Yeah, that's
She
where I went
graduated.
too.
Well, not graduated. You
I
went there
went
for
there
a few
first.
what is the
Bobcats.
Bobcats. I was like, I can't remember anymore. It's been 20 years.
Woo,
I
sports!
Go team.
That's a whole experience. Like we get with Texas State because people do not understand.
Walking the hills. I remember it would kick your ass just going to class every day
I
because the parking was.
broke a toe on campus and had to walk that campus.
Oh
They
no.
do not allow cars on Big Deal.
So that's new.
Oh, is it?
Because
Okay.
I was going there when it was Southwest Texas,
Ah,
and it transitioned the year after I left. So
so there is a football field, and that is Woods Park, a mile away from McDonald's. But
Yeah.
anyway, so everybody has to ride a bus and be busted and
Oh,
dropped
wow.
off at the.
is the stadium over by
quad.
like the quad? Yeah, is it over by like Ocarina Springs?
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, everyone drops their car off, or you can walk. It's the bus because the bus runs.
Exercise.
I'm sure you know the
Lots.
bus.
So I'm old enough to remember when Ocarina Springs was actually a private park.
I went there when I was little.
Mm-hmm. And they had like
Mermaid shows.
mermaid
And a
shows.
pig.
Yep, and
And
a
Underwater.
Swimming pig.
yep. They had the swimming pigs, and they had glass bottom boats, and it's an aquifer, spring fed aquifer, spring
That's
fed
right.
from an aquifer, and it just bubbles up. They'll take you out into the pond basically, and you can see that just bubbling up through the sand. It is cool.
They still do now. It's
They
just
still
like
do,
part
yes.
of their biology department of Texas
Yeah.
State.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I think they bought this. The school bought it
Yeah.
like
It's
before
right there.
Yeah. But when I lived there, when I was in San Marcos, it was we parked on campus, but we mom brain it fled my mind. Anyway, Texas State, it was great. Did it ever flood while you were there?
No.
It flooded
think
twice
so.
when I was there because it has
Part
that.
would flood.
Well, the river that runs right through the middle of campus.
Where everybody
Okay, I
swims.
think I do remember that happening one time and not being able to cross.
Yeah, there's a river that runs right through the middle of town. And the river runs, and then it runs through the dorms that are too low in the apartments. And do you remember the restaurant that's like at the top of the waterfall? I don't know what it was. It was like Joe's
Oh,
Crab
it's
Shack.
called-
What I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah.
That's
At
what it
one
was
point.
when I left.
It was also like a steak one time.
Yeah.
I think I think it's
Okay.
We used to go swimming in the river, like right at
Yeah,
the base of the
Joe's.
waterfall. And one of my college friends actually went up to the restaurant, walked through the restaurant in his swimsuit, got on the balcony.
Nice. Wow. That's a good friend. I like
Yeah, and then the manager came down and yelled at him, "Never come back in your restaurant again."
That's a
Could
good
you just
memory.
imagine just eating your dinner and all of a sudden half naked just walks through and you're just like, hell?
Okay, but it was almost normal because we'd sit and cook every day.
Oh yeah.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Because
Every
this
day.
river they're talking about, people swam in it all the time.
Yeah.
It's completely
It had
clear.
like grass
Yeah.
basically, and so people would go and lay out, jump in the water, then go to class.
Okay.
And
Well,
there's like
never
this
mind.
80-year-old man with like a banana hammock that would play
Frisbee.
frisbee every
Oh
day.
my God! He had for years he was legend at South Texas State. He had these American flag shorts, if I remember correctly, and a fanny pack, and he would just be like, "You want to play frisbee?" And he'd just be like throwing that goddamn thing like 6 hours, 7 hours a day, and it'd be like he'd be on one bank and he'd just be throwing it to people, and it was just like watching those Australian shepherds that are just like obsessed with it. It's like that. It was so weird.
Well, he also wore Speedo.
You what?
He also wore Speedos.
I don't
And that
remember
was
that.
a lot.
I mean, he was old when I was there, and so if he must have been
And
like
he just looked like
old.
tanned.
He looked like Tan Mom or Tan Grandma. You remember her?
Yeah, yes.
Basically
he looked-
leather.
He's leather.
Yeah.
It's just leather. Sorry. I
No,
should've
thank
lost track
you.
there.
I'm good.
So my best friend Feej, I don't think I've ever told you about my friend Feej. Me and my friend Feej and Michael, we all went to school together at Texas State. So the park where the river runs through, Sewell Park, I believe it's called, they would have the University Baptist group would have revivals, and they would pitch a big tent in the park. And Feej came up to my dorm room one time and was like, do you have any Band-Aids? I'm like, why? I was like, I was getting a blowjob in the tent, and the guy started like chewing on my nipples, and they were like almost bloody.
Ew.
He's like, I had to slap him a few times to get him to stop.
Goodness.
And I was like, yes, I do have Band-Aids. So,
Have
good
you ever
times.
had a shot?
Jesus. Oh, good times. Okay, so this is a podcast about parenting after all. How did y'all become parents? I know the children y'all are raising are from Jessica's first
Yes.
marriage, right?
Yeah, I was married. And and I was very, very young. I had my first kiddo. I think I was I just turned 20, and by the time I was 25, I had 3 children.
Ooh.
Wow.
So I met Kim when I was.
And I was 40.
So when we met, they were 9 months, almost.
Was it scary marrying or getting involved with
Terrified. Let me tell you this. So I had been in a couple of, longer term relationships for me. One was 5 years. And I was done and happy by myself. When I decided I was going to start dating again, I made myself a mental list. Like, okay, I want somebody who is close to my age. I was 40, so I was like, I want somebody that's 35 or older. I want someone local. And I want, well, then all of a sudden I get someone who's 25, 6 hours away, and here we are 13 years.
That's why you don't
really
make
pretty.
mental lists, because they never happens.
Clearly. I wish you would quit saying that after I tell that story. Because, that's the only thing. I don't know if you heard her, but she's like, I was really pretty. Well, yeah, she was. However, that's
not
all
the
it's about.
reason.
Yeah.
It's one of probably the reasons,
Is it?
but not the main reason.
It was the reason I replied on Tango Wire, but that's
Okay,
beyond
so
that.
listen, I didn't have a paid account, so you need to understand.
So,
I had the free account, and all you could do on the free account was like click
and
on
reply?
people
Smile.
and smile or at them or wink at them or something like that. And so I sent her a smiley thing. She sent me back like a paragraph, which was wonderful. So once the paid person had communicated, we could start messaging back.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
which,
I think we got to day 2, like maybe 12 hours after this happened, and she had sent me this like 3 paragraphs of questions. And
how
I
are you
was like,
supposed to get to know
"Listen,
someone
I'm
online?
Right.
Hey.
I was like, I'm just gonna call you. I was literally leaving the dentist office. I remember this so specifically. I was like, I'm leaving the dentist office. I can talk with you on the way to get my kid. And I don't think it's gone more than maybe 2 hours from talking to each other since then.
Aw, that's sweet.
So what was the time frame from that conversation to moving in?
how much do you believe in stereotypes? So,
When it comes to lesbians, quite a bit.
yeah. So we started talking in June. We met in person for the first time in July, and by August or September,
September
she moved.
Oh, that's not that bad. That's 3 months.
With
I
3
was
children.
thinking 2 days. You know.
If she'd been local, I'm sure it would have been a bit faster.
You're probably right.
Yeah. August 1st is what we call our official anniversary date.
Yeah.
Then a
So
month
wait,
of
that
that.
13 years ago, so that was 09? Aw,
Yeah.
how did your kids react to your new girlfriend?
So they've all been 100 bored. Number one, their dad was not. Okay, so they met Kim. She like chopped up their for breakfast and took us to do fun things, and they were just on board immediately. But
They were still-
little.
they were
So
still
they
young.
Like less than
1, 3, and 5, basically.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, tell the story the first time. The first time you met the kid.
So she drove down after school/work or whatever from Wichita Falls. Didn't get to. I technically lived in south border of Austin, and she got down there. It was probably like 9 or 10, like that. And I go out into the driveway because we had cell phones, and she had GPS, but nobody else did. That's only because her parents spoiled her. But it was very primitive.
Oh, was the GPS that was always like 50 feet off?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she made it there, but then she was trying to find me within the subdivisions. It was a relatively new subdivision, so even now GPS would be.
Yeah.
So I go out into my driveway and I see him drive by, and I'm like, all right, well, you just passed my road. And so she pulls back around, comes in the driveway.
Well, and I'm like stopping every other driveway, like brushing my hair
Yeah.
and putting on makeup, so like, okay, all right.
So then they pull into the driveway, and out from the back pops 2 half-dressed, kids from the ride. You know how kids are in a car,
Oh, yeah.
6-hour car trip.
Yep.
And so they get out, and they're just like, hey. And then here's the infant, and she just basically hands me the infant.
Aww.
And I held him and put him to sleep, started singing to him right away.
Yeah. Well, I was putting 2 to bed.
Now she swears that I birthed that last one.
Yeah, might as well come right on out of her house because that is her kid. Bored.
Had you ever wanted to have kids?
No,
No.
still don't. Just kidding.
Okay, but to clarify,
Cheers to that, darling.
She didn't want them coming out of her body, but
Right.
she wanted to be a mother,
Yeah.
something to that effect.
If you hadn't met her, would you have ever considered adoption or anything like that?
Her
Now I
parents were
definitely
very thankful.
Yeah, I bet.
Because I got to have grandkids.
Yep.
So
That's true.
and a very this is that when before they even knew us or knew anything about either of their, they had a grandkid through this. And so it's like, oh, it was
Yes.
Precious. What's how were your parents? Like, I assume your parents are great with the relationship. How were yours? Was there like homophobia from your side of the family?
So I didn't know this at the time. I don't know how much in here, but
As much as you want.
I had been dating a very nice black guy, and I'm in Texas. I have and my mother told me that this conversation came up. My parents. This shocked me a little bit, but I stopped dating him. I started dating him. And my mom said that there was a conversation that said, well, she either date a black guy or be a lesbian. You pick. To my dad.
Oh my god.
Those are your choices.
Yeah, and I was like, guess what? It's not y'all's choice, so it doesn't matter. But when we moved here in 2012, my parents, so they about 6 months in our house and redoing the...
So like where we live now, they live on the same property, small house. We share the same driveway.
Oh, and y'all are still out in like Decatur area, right?
Somerville.
Somerville. I didn't want to like give away your address or anything.
I know, it's all over the internet, it's fine. I mean, they're really good with that.
The beauty is, if anybody wants to come see us, we have dogs and guns.
Oh,
We live in
there you
Somerville.
Yeah, exactly.
Come on out.
Come visit.
Yeah.
No, thank
my
you.
parents are
I'm
really
good.
good.
The dogs I'm good with. The guns, no thank you.
Oh
My
my.
parents are really, they just treat us like this is how it's always been. I mean, it has.
And what's funny is her father and I were in his truck running in, and our middle child is trans. And so something came up about Toby. And then we started talking about how, things are very different now and all that. And I said something like, well, we've always been here. Just now we have more ability to be visible, be seen, and like that. I'm not trans, I'm normal.
Yeah.
Right.
And so, and I said, but I want you to think about this. I want you to think about this. I said, imagine me. And he goes, he's like, good point. I'm like, everyone would be miserable,
But 100 years ago, that would have happened.
Oh, I
for
know.
Sure.
Yeah.
But see, that's
Or you
the
would have
thing.
been an old maid.
Or you would have killed him. And
My dad had an aunt who was lesbian. So my dad just passed away. He was 82. So imagine how long ago his aunt was as an adult lesbian. And she died by suicide because of society and herself. Yeah.
I think you need to dig in everybody's.
Oh,
There was
we're
the-
everywhere.
There was the gay uncle, the gay aunt. They weren't called that, but
confirmed bachelor and the
right,
spinster.
confirmed, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so it's like when you start thinking, never had kids. Why didn't you? What's with my grandma? Oh, she painted houses. Oh, she worked in a factory. Like, those are some pretty butch things. for
Sissy
you to
was
do,
Rosie
Sissy.
the Riveter.
That's right.
She had a roommate and they only had one bedroom in the house.
And 3 cats.
She didn't, but I can see that at times she probably did. You know,
Right.
like she lived in California for a little while.
Oh, then you know
And
she
I'm
was
like,
fruity.
This is all you connecting the dots here. But yeah,
That's
we
awesome.
have good family.
How has been parenting since moving to Alabama?
That says it all right there.
Tell me more.
Our middle child, Toby, was assigned female at birth, and before he transitioned, when he was very small, they were Kylie, and Kylie has always been very outspoken, and so whenever. Can I?
Yeah, it's
okay. Whenever we got together, she would always, the very first thing she would say to anybody knew she was married, she's like, I got 2 moms and my dad's in jail. And so we were all just like, hey, my mom number 2.
Yeah.
The kid's not lying.
Yeah.
How do the kids address y'all? Mom and mommy or
Aw.
I'm Momo.
Momo? That's
Yeah.
And mom. The baby could not say mom.
Right.
It couldn't say Kim.
Right.
And we were trying to figure out what she called
What's
him.
similar
and it was
to
mom,
mom, but not mom,
Yeah.
And so
That's
we were
cute.
Mom and Momo. They call me Kim mostly now, just because they're older.
I'm
but,
not keeping it call me a bitch.
But it's so
Just
cute
so they're
because they're planning for whenever they have kids. My name's going to be what are you going to be?
I'm Granny Coco because that's what my
All
grandmother
right.
was.
So she's going to be Granny Coco, and I'm going to be Grandmo.
Oh, that's
Isn't that cute?
precious.
That is.
Yeah. Parenting in Alabama has been stressful and wonderful.
Yep.
So we moved to a super good area. My oldest child.
How did you end up in Priceville, Somerville area?
So we had a list.
Oh.
We're all about some lists over here. And the house that we bought had to have a space for my parents. It had to have columns. My columns are tiny. I think my house is big. And
Your
it had to
teachers,
be
we know
within-
they're not big.
Right. And it had to be within like 15 minutes of.
My
and
parents
so
live in them.
That trifecta, that house worked. But then they ended up going to Costco, which Kim went to.
Yeah, but I wasn't an out lesbian. I didn't have
So we kind of should.
I bet you did.
a little bit.
A little lot bit.
Did you know earthquakes happened in Kentucky?
We're also not overly religious.
Blasphemy?
And and I also don't let other people my kids. And so I was like the trifecta of
She
not
was-
the parent they wanted.
The devil incarnate, really.
Apps from like day one had animosity, probably of my own, and also the teachers. But my oldest son, just frankly, he struggles from growing up about 8th grade, where that made it a little bit better.
How'd you pull that off?
I'm
She works
teaching
for
her,
him.
Oh, okay.
I was do that. But yeah, he talks about, and
That's
so
sad.
does my middle child. Now the youngest kiddo, he is almost normal, and so we, he's not really normal of the, or maybe easygoing. Nothing really bothered. He was only, so I don't think he got to that.
Yeah.
Your peers are picking on, telling them to hell. That's what my kids.
I'm going to hell for much different reasons,
Oh.
darling.
For sure. But so we're, moving them to more open-minded. Then the pandemic hit, social stuff went out the window, and everyone struggled mentally. All the kids, the parents, everyone I know struggled, isolated.
Well, and she and I both got COVID, sickest I've been in my life.
When did you get it?
2020, October.
That's when we got it.
That was
was
the
hard.
OG strain. It was
Yep, me
the
too.
butt kicker.
That put me in the hospital for 4 days.
Wow. Well, luckily we didn't end up in the hospital, but I was real close. Like I had
Probably should have gone, but
I had the oximeter on my finger all the time and got real close a couple times. Yeah,
I
it
would
was
go
awful.
upstairs and work, just cry and come downstairs, and then go upstairs.
Oh,
This is not. We're just trying to do the best we could.
right.
Yeah.
So.
Oh,
The
that's
third
stressful.
strain, I got it 3 times. The last one is the one that
Really?
She's a long COVID sufferer.
from the first one, but I didn't really have it that bad. Like I didn't feel that sick, like him going to the hospital. But then you had pneumonia,
I had strep throat, which called
on top of COVID, so
Yeah.
that's
Oh.
really
I got
hurt
the
him.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the third time is the one that was like, "Baby, I'm sorry, I forgot to feed you. What do you want to eat?" Kind of
Right.
thing. Because I just wanted to lay in the bed and was like, oh, it was
Yeah,
like
she's-
flu symptoms.
She's had headaches since 2020. So I'm sorry, Gateway.
It's okay. Well, it's Clea. Blame it on the kids.
Well, so the social impact that COVID had was run all of the little that we knew.
Right.
So that's we little baby meet up kids. My kids are weird.
All
I'm
kids are weird.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
But compared to their peer, they're
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
weird. We got a trans sibling, and I'm a long-haired hippie older brother, and mental health is in there, and we got the chunky kids.
all
and we
of
got
them neurodivergent. And
Yeah.
so.
When did you start the meetup?
July.
And what's it called?
Weird kids.
I've never heard of that.
Well,
It's pretty
now
new,
you
so,
know.
yeah.
It's a Facebook thing, and you have over how many now?
800.
Wow, that's awesome.
And so all the, what it was supposed to be to begin is that it was their lack of money, and we at the providing, and then allowing all the people in the group to meet ups any other day of the week they wanted. Check very heavy profiles. If you look kind of suspicious, if you act wild or not in the good way, like
Right.
Do you get a lot of suspicious characters?
child
Oh, predator-ish.
predator issue. We're not going to do it. You know,
Right.
super conservative, and all of your posts are about you're going to hell for not
Or
letting your.
even just having the word in here.
Bye-bye. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, we do have a diverse
What's wrong with
group.
you?
I had to look at his face.
I
I thought I knew him.
So anyway,
That's why my
so,
beard's
yeah.
orange.
Well, it's just been a unique experience, but it's turned into what it needed to be, and everyone's making new friends, like-minded, being exposed to and growing
Awesome.
side of.
What are the future plans for it? Just keep it going, and then maybe transfer it off to someone, or let someone else take it over?
So since it's like a moderator with Facebook, I don't know that I will ever give it up, but I'm definitely slowly adding in people. So it started as mainly but there's a lot of need for younger kids and parents play dates. So what I'm doing now is getting moderators because I don't want to go.
Yeah.
I don't want to go to the baby play escapes. I don't have babies anymore.
Right.
So
have annoying
that's what
teenagers.
I'm working on right now. Exactly. That's what I'm working on right now. The other part of it is we have a lot of kids transitioning 17, 19. Well, now what do I do?
Right.
So And then we had 40-year-old moms going, well, I wish me. And, queer men and women saying, I wish this was me. And so weird kid life.
Aw.
And that's for the adults, isn't it? And that's the same thing. We're having one meetup a month. I'm hosting, and other people. It's really great.
That's
I don't
awesome.
know what else to say.
Any more children on the horizon?
Oh, hell no.
Are you serious? Take this alcohol away. God bless.
You're not going to foster a bunch?
That.
So I used to think I wanted. I really, really do. Like, I love the idea. But at the same time, I can't. Here's the deal. If you marry somebody who's 15 years older than you, when it's time for them to retire, you think it's time for you to retire too. So that's a problem. But we had plans of together and impact. And
We're always going to be doing something. Like, retirement just means I'm going to change what I'm doing. It doesn't mean I'm anything.
Right.
But raising more children is not a part of that at all. Not even a little bit.
helping with other people's kids in some capacity. Education.
Is exactly what Jessica wants to do. However,
education, opening up people's mind, kids. That might be something we both want
that
to
Jessica
do.
wants to do.
Okay,
I
whatever.
was about to say you're going to have grandkids probably in about 7 years.
Shut your
Such a
face.
mouth.
I was about to say, how old is your oldest now? 17?
18. Well,
18.
Okay.
Yeah.
So hopefully 10 years it'll be children.
I told
But
my
here's the
children to
thing.
be very careful about the selective process because our genetics are a little
Their
So-
dads.
wonky at
Their
this point.
dads.
Have you met her ex-husband?
Through visitation.
Oh.
One time.
Did he lose his visitation rights?
And,
No.
no.
He just never exercised
I
them?
meant visitation. Like,
Oh.
and I-
Is he still in jail?
yep.
Awkward.
Where's that? It's okay. You know what? I'm being really honest. When you are with somebody, you want to blame everybody. So being in jail and being away for so long, it's really allowed me to be like, oh, that was a mental. So I hope that you get that help. I can't provide that to you, nor do I want you around. But at least
Yeah.
so.
And you know he won't be around. He's
Right.
locked up. You're
In
good.
Texas.
See, very far away.
Even
Yep.
Lord have mercy. So have the you said the kids facing with was so them being kind of like neurodivergent or kind of weird kids, was that the bigger obstacle, or was having lesbian moms?
all of it.
I think all
Yeah.
family how diverse, how liberal,
Mild mannered,
Yes.
liberal
meek
we
women.
are.
Subdued.
You finna get hurt.
Yeah.
Had too much wine. Sorry, you're driving when we go shopping.
Yeah, we're just super liberal, and we raised our kids to love everybody, speak out against injustice, fight for what's right, like other people, and sometimes that's frowned upon in some situations.
True.
And kids are just,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter even if you're quote unquote normal, it doesn't matter. They're still,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and they'll find something. And that's what I try to tell you. If it's not one thing, it's going to be another. He's like,
Right.
they're picking on me about my shoes. Well, if I get you brand new shoes, they're going to find something new about.
Yeah.
Just it's hard to tell a kid that because even with social media these days, which he doesn't have, but it's even harder because then you have where you're anonymous and you can just say whatever you want to say. See the effect on such
for
sucks.
sure.
And then having extra stuff on top of that, like, I mean, lesbian moms, in some places that's a big no-no, but in other places it's more accepted.
the norm,
Like,
yeah.
kind of Huntsville is getting there, I'm sure. I don't really.
I mean, we haven't had as parents, not that I'm respected. Here's the thing. If I send an email, I eventually point where I include him on it. Now there's a problem. But we've always been respected, I think.
Okay.
So, in the small schools.
To our
there's
face.
an issue. Right.
Oh yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
That's good.
I think that, our kids have stuff, not necessarily that's been part of it, but they've had a hard time because you can only, I'm like you to both my, I try to tell them, you gotta think about who matters. Their words will matter.
Right.
Yeah.
But kids have a real hard time what really
Right.
matters. And so it's been one of those things where just try to do your best to help them navigate, but every person has a breaking. Somebody's even picking the adults around you,
Don't do
i.e. the
anything.
ones that are there with them,
Right.
don't do anything. Then our kids have gotten in trouble for just finally reaching a breaking, and that's what that's
It is.
Well, it's also like that's the one thing I hate about. It's kind of hard. Every school system in the world, but it's like it's an enforced social situation where you cannot escape. It's like you have to attend, you have to be around these people. But like as adults, if I don't like my job, I can go find another job. If I'm
Right.
around friends that treat me badly, I'll drop your ass and go find some more friends.
That's right.
But
Yeah.
these people, the kids are just stuck in the situation. We're just like, I can't go anywhere.
Right.
And it's been one, and this may be what I pursue when I retire, but it's been kind of a passion of mine is I would love the opportunity, and I've tried and have been, put that on record. But I would love the opportunity to be able to educate educators, especially straight, what it feels like to, but like you're saying, forced to be somewhere every day that you,
Right.
and how devastating this as we're taught Maslow's hierarchy. The idea is it's a pyramid structure, the base structure. You have these basic needs that have to be able to heads. Those include things like food, shelter, safety, but also belonging, a sense of belonging. And when you force queer kids to go to school, but you don't let them be themselves, you disrespect them, all these other things that make them feel barely tolerated, definitely unwanted, how do you expect them to do well at all? And so that's one of the things I wish that I could, a lot of my colleagues.
Well, hopefully you do, because that sounds like really help. I mean, because that would be not even just queer, that just all kids.
Right.
It would help them all if they can look at it in a way.
Well, and that's the way I feel also about forced religious stuff, and other, religions and nationalities and everything else. In one of my classes last year, we were doing a slam poetry, and I had a Muslim student, and she wrote this beautiful piece about you don't want to bother to know my name. And she went through this whole thing about how you expect me to do that, but you won't even bother getting my name.
Right.
And that's another thing that's frustrated me as long as I can remember, because I've always worked in diverse where we have different ethnicities, different nationality, and some names that are not, typical American names as
Right.
many people see them. And they'll be like, oh, I'm not going to bother to say Shaquita, I'm just going to call you S. And I'm like, how demeaning, dehumanizing.
Right.
Sorry, got on a soapbox.
No,
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 that's what we're here for.
Those are the things that make me nuts. When it comes to making a difference, that's kind of where I see it. I see it more with affecting change the adults as the kids. Where
Right.
It reminds me of do you remember the brown-eyed, blue-eyed exercise? That reminds me of what we were talking about.
Yeah.
That. I don't know. She looked old as hell when she was on Oprah. So I don't know.
I have a horrible memory.
You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, I know
But,
what you're talking about, but
Yeah.
I don't know if it's alive or not. Okay.
All right. Well, since I am nice and toasted, let's talk about our snack time. What have we been snacking on this whole time? If you hear us smacking in the microphone,
Stroopwafels.
Stroopwafel.
Okay,
Airplane
Costco's. They're very, very tasty.
they're delicious.
I was walking around Costco getting something for dinner tonight, and I saw them, and we always give our friends. Although I feel bad now, we get our friends a box of them for Christmas every year, and then I was like, I'm thinking for Zane too, but our friends that we get them for every year, they're like a diet and they're running marathons and shit. So I'm like, they last a while till they're off their marathon. But I love Stroopwafel. All right. Well, we've had our snack time. Let's do story time. You ladies got a good story for us about your kids doing something funny or embarrassing?
Kind of hit on a lot of those already.
Yeah. It doesn't have to be the kids too. If you got something like your students or something, or nieces or nephews.
Oh, I could tell about.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Perfect.
So I come across as very feminine, and you're still to know about you. We are not in a place where we share that. Especially
this was a
now.
couple
This was
years ago.
2 years back. In my job, I get students as freshmen, and then 4 years. They go to their own general education classes, but I follow them to their classes, and I make sure to check in all day long. I get really close to them. 4 years, I spend more time with them and vice versa. So they wanted to know who. When I would not tell them, and I would just laugh about it, they decided that I was married to a black man named Tyrone.
As one does.
Yeah, so they would, every visitor to the school, they would come and ask if that is my husband. They would go through my phone, or, try to go through my phone to see if they could find a picture of him. And at one point I was like, sure, look through my photos. Where is it? Why don't you have any photos with your man, Miss Cotton? I was like, oh, you missed it. You looked right past them. So their senior year, right before graduation, Kimberly was actually coming to a, what did you call that?
It was a presentation.
Oh, okay.
We were doing like a diversity kind of quorum, basically. They were getting lawyers and talk about Alabama. It was wonderful. So she was going to come and give this talk. I had a suit lined up for students. I was not going to expose them to this. It wasn't a big deal. At the last minute, my substitute for the class.
Oh no.
So I only had like 9 students, right? So I'm like, okay, I need y'all to follow me down. I can't even I'm gathering mentally. This all happened in 45 seconds. Taking them down the stairs. There's this lunch table outside the auditorium. And I was like, all right, if you guys will just sit here and be quiet and not disturb anybody, I will introduce you to my wife when all of this is over. Yes, I said wife. Please don't ask me any questions right now. I have to go inside. And their faces were just like... So when I came back out, I introduced them to my wife. I got pats on the back later and said, oh, we understand now. This makes sense. I was like, okay, great, thanks.
That's funny.
So no more Tyrone.
We should have
You
told him
can
Daddy
call me
decided, when Daddy had the choice between a black man and a lesbian, Daddy decided lesbian.
My dad chose for me.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna get a T-shirt and just says Richard's choice.
On the back, it should say Tyrone.
That's right.
Not Tyrone.
That's awesome.
You can call me a Tyrone.
No, they would sing that.
Yeah.
That is funny.
So what school was this at? Was it here in
I'd
Huntsville?
rather not say.
Oh, okay, that's fine. So I'm just like, I didn't
It
know
was
there
a
were...
Huntsville City Schools house.
Okay, I didn't know there was a lot of GSAs in Huntsville City Schools. All of them
Practically
have?
every high school has one.
Oh, okay, very cool.
Our kids aren't.
Do you teach, Kim, do you these schools, or are you
No,
summer
Madison
adult?
City.
In Madison City, okay.
No way. They're
Oh
not
my
ready.
gosh.
They can't handle it.
Let me tell you, I had kind of the opportunity to take this amazing job, but I would have had to go back in the closet. This was in the past 3 months.
Oh, wow.
Like, it was perfect. It's like right by my house. My kid could have gone to school. I would have been working with the demographic I love. But
And
I
with
can't.
plants. And
Yeah,
plant.
and everything. I could not stomach the idea
We'll go back
of going back in
on.
the closet.
Right.
Was it a religious school?
Rural.
Public.
And you
Uh,
shouldn't have to.
yeah,
That's
you
the
definitely
thing.
shouldn't
You
have to.
But I'm
really
not
shouldn't
going to
have
because I have it made where I am, and
Right.
I and my people love me and accept me, and
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
I love Kim, so it is what it is.
Well, I think you made.
Thank you.
Kim, you got any fun? So Jessica told a fun story. Do you got any fun?
Tell me, you got something.
I know.
That's like, when you say you're a comic and somebody says, tell me a joke.
Tell me a joke, Kim.
It doesn't work that way.
Knock, knock. Just kidding.
Well, you've been teaching for a few years. Got any fun stories from teaching? Can't think of one. It's okay.
You tell the joke.
For our listening audience, Kim has a very awkward face.
Yeah, I can't think of one. I'm
That's
sorry.
right. That's fine. That's fine. I just thought I'd ask. All right. Well, do y'all want to promote anything? Jessica, you have the Weird Kids meetup group, and y'all both have shenanigans. And you said it was what was it again?
HuntsvilleLaughs.com.
Okay.
Just no one can spell shenanigans.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
It used to be shenaniganshsv.com. People couldn't.
Well, it's like O'Shaughnessy.
Well, there's multiple ways to spell that. There's really only one way to spell shenanigans to the public, and there's 12 ways to shenanigans. Only 11 aren't right.
And that original website you said does technically take people tickets.
Because when
Yes.
I pull up on my phone, and I'm like, oh, there it is.
Yeah.
Because that's wow.
It does.
Yeah, that's the direct link to our ticketing site.
Oh, that's the ticketing,
HuntsvilleLaughs
okay.
is our entire web.
Anything else y'all want to promote? You got Twitters or
No, we have an
Instagrams?
Instagram, but
It's the same content
content as Facebook. But like on Facebook, our cover photo is always our monthly calendar, so you can see what's going on. Try to just let everybody know what we have going on. We just always have super cool, fun shows every Friday and Saturday.
Yep.
So just encourage people to go to HuntsvilleLaughs.com.
Are y'all doing?
Yep.
Are y'all doing any more improv classes anytime soon?
We're trying to figure that out. We want to restructure it because those of you that have gone through the classes, we have such varied levels now
Yeah.
that we're thinking of taking more of a workshop approach and honing in on certain versus a whole session class. So
But it's our office.
yes.
Oh,
Yes.
okay. Well, I might have to sign up. He loves it there. Like
Aw.
he was there last night when Jason
Volunteering.
and I showed up to kind of stand and wait.
Yeah.
I kind of cleaned up a little bit while I could outside.
When he came in the door, he goes, "I've missed this place."
It was really cute.
I love that.
And he just, it was like, well, he has ADHD and he has I'm going to get him tested to see if he has dyslexia or dysgraphia because he has problems with his letters and his numbers. So sometimes bingo is a little too much for him. So Kalia was helping him, which was really cute. But when he came up and you were having a drag performer after the family night, she came out and I was talking to her and he was just like, hi, and just waved at her and just ran away. And then it's just nice to have him be surrounded by different.
Right.
And because I took them to the mall because they were getting kind of bored while we were waiting on Jason to leave. So I took them to the mall, and on the way to the mall, well, I don't know if I'm going to have a wife or a husband, but I'm going to adopt no matter if I don't, it's okay. I'll just adopt. I want 3 kids of my own, and then I'll adopt one. And then Cleo's like, well, I don't know what I want. And I was like, babies, that's fine, whatever you want. I'm pretty sure Wesley's straight. And that's the feeling I get from him, but I don't say it. I let him decide if he wants to be bisexual or if he wants to be. I don't care. But him at 11 years old, as a black male at that, to be able to openly say in the car, I don't know if I'm going to have a husband or a wife.
Yeah.
Cool. That's great. And then that's why I surround him with, my friends who happen to be queer. I just love the feeling I get. I'm a straight woman, but I love the love that you get from So because no one judges you in any way, and if he tells me I'm beautiful, I know he doesn't have a ulterior motive. Yes, and it's just the greatest thing. And to have my son wrapped around all of that, I love that. He really enjoys you and just the space, and he was just running around, and I try not to
popcorn yesterday.
I try not to give him any pills on the weekend because it's just for the school.
Conversation about that.
Yeah, and he was like, "Well, she said I should just be me, Mom, and I shouldn't take medicine."
I didn't say that.
I said, "Well, did you tell her you've been getting F's and D's?" And he was like, "No, I didn't tell that." I was like, "Well, maybe you should tell her that," and then she'll say, "Go on your pills, baby."
I never. Just so you know, I never said that. He said, I tend not to take them on the weekend. And I said, oh yeah, I do that with my son too. Just want him to be himself on the weekend. And then I was like, oh no, that's going to bite me in the butt. I have a feeling.
But I understand. I did not take it in any negative way.
But you know what's funny is then we had that conversation about our son on the weekends and his behavior, and so maybe we should give him his meds on the weekend.
Not.
Because
I do
frankly,
if he has
he's
to
an ass.
sit still.
Right.
Like if we do something, dinner, not here, but like out at a restaurant, I will get not the hardcore ones, but because he does Adderall and clonidine. Clonidine. And so I'll give him the clonidine, the half, just to kind of hopefully smooth it out a little bit, because he can be very rambunctious and just bouncy.
Which makes him miserable.
Right, and I don't want to get him in trouble, especially on the weekends. So it's just like, but...
Well, no judgment here, what you should do. And I was like, I wonder if that conversation's going to get repeated. I really thought that.
He came straight to me.
The first part of that conversation is he asked me, he said, do you like playing bingo? And I said, I have ADD very hard for me, so sometimes I don't like it because I just do. And I was like, okay, sweet. I had no idea.
Yeah, there you go. That's great. So then he has a friend in you, a kind of a
kindred spirit.
Because you also have it, and he just came right back to me. She had me too, and he was so excited about it. And so it's great. Yeah,
you were talking about him feeling comfortable to say, I don't know if I'm going to have a husband or a wife. Being around the youth of our country right now is one of for the future.
Right.
Because we adults are fucking a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Especially the ones older than.
Right.
And
we old as fuck.
And to have kids, because that is, for the vast majority of kids, especially in the Huntsville, Madison
sorry about that
area.
Alexa went off. That's just someone walking by. Don't worry about it.
So people in this area, it's more common for them to have that kind of an attitude, true acceptance, true not wanting to put themselves or anyone else in the box yet, going, I wonder what I'm going to end up with, or who I'm going to end up with, or what I'm going to end up being like. Right. And the fact that there are options is beautiful.
Me too. I agree.
And they don't even think about it.
Yeah. I was like,
It's just
what am I going to have?
And our youngest one is that way. He's like,
And then you shouldn't have to decide.
Right.
I mean, and it's not really a decision. Let me put that out there. It's
Right.
not
Thank
a
you.
decision.
Yes.
It is just the way that you are, and you develop
how you're
it.
wired.
Some kids know at 2 years old.
Yep.
Some kids know when they're 18 years old. Some people
Well-
know when they're 50 years old.
I like
Part
the
of-
It just takes
possibility.
time. You're right.
Yeah.
He's like open to whatever. That's great.
And
Whereas, I'm 53, so whenever I was growing up, I say this in my stand-up, but it's the truth, well, somewhat the truth. Anyway, basically, I say I was born with a mullet, right? Like, I left the hospital in a khaki diaper with lots of pockets. I have always been queer. It's never been a choice. However, I did everything I could not to be queer. The only thing is that there was never an option myself.
Yeah.
Like, I tried not to be myself to try to
I had something similar. Like I was, I assume you were kind of a butch young lesbian growing up.
only because that's how I was. Like, I was tomboyish, but
Yeah.
like I never admitted to myself or anyone else that I was attracted.
Yeah, not necessarily like you were attraction to you were just kind of like more of a tomboy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was.
Like, I played softball.
Yeah, I was always a prissy.
I did too. I mean, there's nothing wrong with softball.
But I was always a prissy young boy too. It was like it was just not a lot of hiding it.
Right.
So it was like the rainbow shined through.
Your hand gestures alone gave it away.
I mean, having the full what are they called? My Little Pony collection when I was 10 probably is the thing that gave it away.
Yeah.
Like him.
Mini bike.
Hell yeah.
All into such. Tell them what you had.
Well, and I was trying not to be queer, so when I was a teenager, I had like Chippendales posters.
And did you have like the swimsuit model women underneath the?
No.
No.
I didn't. I wasn't even admitting it to myself at that
Oh.
point because it was frowned upon. I didn't want to be that
Yeah.
because everybody was disgusted by us, hated us, this other stuff.
And in being in the South, you're going to hell. It's the
Well,
main thing.
I didn't grow up in a religious household. Everyone else, like I heard that from people,
Right.
but that didn't have the effect on people.
I got you.
Yeah.
It was more of the disgust
Yeah.
that made me not want.
Yeah, I got that same sentiment because I went to a private Baptist high school. So the shame was deep and strong in that place. So.
No, it's deep and wide. His shame was flowing.
Oh, I thought you were talking about his ass. I'm sorry.
I thought she was talking about her vagina.
Okay.
That's
a
his
good-
alcohol. That's his alcohol talking.
No, I'm just trash. All right. Well, I mean, that seems like a good place to stop for today. So, for all the 4 listeners we have, if you have
Mom.
any, hi Mom. If you have any funny stories about your kids, I'm skipping back to
Or if you need some bad parenting advice.
email us at a guide to poor parenting. And thanks again for listening to A Guide to Poor Parenting.
If you like our podcast, please give us a 5-star rating on whatever platform you're listening on.
And if you don't like our podcast,
If you don't like our podcast,
yeah, fuck off. No, if you don't like our podcast, just like we tell our kids when they complain about not going to the pool in the middle of winter,
Tough shit.
bye everyone.
Bye.